knitters, Cindy Dell here. This video is about making increases. I've got several, I've got 6 of them here to show you, and they're all good, and you just use them in a certain ways and certain circumstances. So the first increases I'm going to do are going to be on the right side, on the public side, on the knitted side. This is the back, of course, or the inside, the wrong side we also call it. But we're going to start on this side, the stockinette side, the knitted side. I've got 15 stitches here. And I'm just going to knit 5 in, just to get us started. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The first one we're going to do is called a lifted increase with a right slant, or a right side, a right leaning increase. It's a make one right. I'm going to take my left hand needle and slip it under this ladder right here. This is the strand. I'm going to go under from the back. Now you can see how this is leaning to the right, so you know you're doing it right. This isn't a stitch yet, it's just a ladder. So we're going to take it from underneath, from the back. It's important that you go in through the back, and we're going to knit right through this strand. It helps if your needles are fairly pointy. These are nice wooden needles, but they do have a pretty good point to them. I'm going to knit into the front. It's kind of tight, so it's sometimes hard to get that needle in. What I like to do is move my right hand needle so that I have kind of a looseness and hold it down with my finger. Then it's easier to move my needle up into that stitch. So I'm knitting it. There's a stitch that's made. That stitch wasn't there before. I'll do it again. There we see the ladder, or the strand in between the new stitch and the old stitch. I'm going to take my left hand needle through the back, adjust it a little bit so that it's loose enough for me to get my needle through, and go up as if to knit it. That is a right leaning. The next one I'm going to do is a left leaning. So I'm going to knit a couple more stitches just to get us spread out a little bit. The left leaning is similar. You take the strand, but instead of going through the back, you're going to go through the front. See how that strand now is leaning to the left? That's what you want to see. So you take your left needle, put it underneath, and then you're going to be knitting through the back of that stitch. If you knit through the front, you're just going to have a yarn over and a hole. What this does is twist the stitch a little bit so that there's no gap. So you're going to be knitting it through the back loop. Just like that. There's your new stitch. I'll show you again. Here's your ladder, your strand in between. You're going to go in from the front to the back, and then you're going to knit it through the back loop. And it twists the stitch. You can see the twist. The twist in the stitch is right here. And that kind of makes the stitch a little bit tighter and closes it up. Okay, I'm going to knit to the end, and then I'm going to show you how to do this on the purl side. Purl side is with all purls, it's not as much fun, it's not as easy as knitting. Some people will go to any length to avoid purling, but really just practice. Get my needle straightened out here. Sorry, pull this through. Got a lot of cables and a lot of threads here going on. Okay. So I don't want that stitch to be right on top of the one I just made. So I'm going to just knit 3, or excuse me, purl 3. The first one I'm going to do is a make one left on the purl side. Just like before, there's a strand in between, and that's where you're going to be picking up. So the left, go in through the front. Now your yarn is in the front of your work. You're going to go in from the back of that strand that you see how it twists and crosses over. Go up in through the back of that strand and purl. I'll do it again. There's your strand. It's a little loose and you really don't want it that loose, but we're working with it, and so it's going to loosen up a little bit. Your left needle is going to go under that strand from front to back. Yarn in front, so you're going to be purling. Manipulate that strand a little bit so that you can easily fit your needle through without splitting, and purl. Okay, now we're going to purl a few more. Get past that increase that we made on the last row. Where is that? 2, 4. Let's see, you can hardly see it. It's right here. So we're going to purl past that. You're just going to knit it. There is the new stitch. You're just going to purl it just as is a real stitch. You don't have to do anything special with it at all. Now we're going to make a right leaning purl. This time we go in through the back. I always say right leaning back. So right back, I'll be right back. That's how I remember. Right back. See how it leans to the right? This time you're going to purl through the front. I'll do it again. You've got your strand. Go in through the back. You see it's right leaning. Go through the front. Okay. That's how we will make, when you're working on the My First Lace Sweater, these are the increases that you'll need. Actually, it's the make one right, make one left on the right side, and make one left on the purl side. That's the one that is the most difficult that we were working on in class. I'm going to show you another one that's an alternative. It's not as pretty, but if you can't do those increases, you can do these. They show up more because on the stockinette side, you'll get a purl bump. I'd really like you to learn how to do the make one with the strand, going in between the strands. But if you can't do it, well, that's okay. This is an alternative. This is called knit front and back. So you go in and you knit the front in the front of the stitch, but don't pull that stitch off, leave it on. And then knit into the back of that same stitch and pull it off. Now you can see there's a little purl bump there, and you're going to see it from the right side. That's why I don't usually use it on a sweater. I like to make one because it's fairly invisible. So we'll work a few more here. I'll do it again. Here's a stitch I want to make an increase in. I'll knit into the front, pull it through, but don't pull this stitch off yet. You're going to knit into the back of the stitch as well, which is right here. Oh, I can't see it very well, but it's right there. So you're going to knit right into the back of that stitch and then pull off. Okay. We'll knit to the end of the round. Again, I just knit over that increase that we just made on the purl side. You don't do anything different. Look here, you can see that little purl bump right there. That's what you got. It's pretty small, and if you really feel comfortable with that and you don't want to mess with the others, you can do it. But just know that it's going to show up. You can see one right here and right here. Okay, so we're on the purl side. I'm going to show you how to do that same type of increase on the purl side, and it's a purl front and back, and it also makes an increase. You're making two stitches out of one, basically. I'll get over here, past these others. Okay, here's the stitch I want to increase into. So I'm going to purl into the front, pull it through, but don't take this stitch off, and then go into the back and purl. Okay, so I'll do it again. Go down a few stitches. I want to get past here's the stitch I want to make an increase in. We're going to purl into the front, just as we normally do. Pull that new strand through, but don't take this off. You're still purling. You're going to purl into the back of that stitch, just like that. Purling. And those are really the most common increases. Increasing on the purl side is not very common, but in the case of our sweater that we're working on, we do use that left leaning increase using the strand. So this is just a little tutorial on how to do different increases. Hope that's helpful.